You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN. I'm your host, Kelvin, and with me today, it's Amy and Christos. Patreon patrons, remember you can now watch All Good Things as an extended edit of this very episode at patreon.com/BQN. Hello, team. Miss Amy, how are you today?
Hello. I am doing very well. Excited to be back. So, hello, listeners.
You're on the final few days of your summer vacation. How are you feeling about heading back to work?
I'm really trying to not think about it. So I'm still in summer mode. Everything is going great. Still on vacation. So yeah, I'm going to hit the pool a little bit later today.
Oh, nice. Well, enjoy your last few days.
Yes.
And Christos, how are you?
I'm doing well myself, and thank you very much for asking.
Well, you've said there's been a lot of Star Trek stuff going on. There's been, well, in your back garden, Christos. It's San Diego Comic Con this weekend. What have you heard? Any news?
Not really. I mean, it's been a lot of, fanfare and celebration of the franchise, but not like a whole lot of major forward-looking news coming out. I think there's been they revealed a guest actor for Academy season 2, and I think there's a little bit of a spoiler that Trulane may be in season 4 of A Strange New Worlds again due to something someone caught in they did a kind of a trailer for the rest of the season, and they did a nice little 3-minute video montage tribute to the franchise, which I think we've seen those on more than one occasion now, and all I can say is at least they didn't leave out Beverly Crusher this time, because
or
she
Prodigy.
really
Prodigy was in
or Prodigy.
Right. And
yeah,
they had, I was very surprised and happy to see all the shows represented a tiny bit, because, you look at on the Paramount Plus app, that beginning intro, there's no mention of Prodigy or, Lower Decks. And it's like, no, they are part of us. And so the one that came out at San Diego Comic-Con, I really, really liked, and was like, finally, they're representing all the shows.
Yeah, I feel like, was that part with Michael Burnham speaking, was that, I think it was recycled, right? That was not.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking, is that Sonequa? Oh, they've done well to bring her.
Well, it is. It's definitely her. I just didn't realize if she recorded something new for this video or if it was something.
It sounded new.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like Burnham. It sounded like Sonequa. So that's why I feel like it was new.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Have you both seen the season 4 Strange New Worlds additional trailer? There's quite a few little spoilers in there, or not spoilers, but things to look forward to from episode, like the future Uhura. They've made Celia look amazing.
Yeah. Now, I think there's supposed to be some sort of episode where they encounter another version of the Enterprise and maybe a future version of it. I think that's what that is, but that's just my speculation.
Well, I have been noticing Rod Roddenberry on his Instagram and going around saying, well, this is what we've got at San Diego Comic-Con. And don't worry, we're bringing this to STLV. So I'm like, good to push STLV. So I appreciated that.
I remember last year, Christos, you were saying there was the outdoor event where you didn't need your tickets. It looked like they brought that back. There was this an Andorian DJ. It looked really cool.
It's the lounge from. It's supposed to be the lounge from the Enterprise from Strange New Worlds, but it's really not the lounge from the Enterprise. It's but it's just kind of cool experience. I haven't gone down to it. I still might go down today to that. It's still going on, but it's a ticketed event.
Get your merch.
Yeah, but it's like every year I get that merch and then like nothing happens with it. Like it just goes on the shelf or becomes a t-shirt or becomes I guess I'm just getting more and more pragmatic as I get a little bit older, and like I don't need to own every little thing. I went to a thrift store on Friday and out in East County, and if you were looking for Playmates figures, it was the find. And I think I sent you guys some pictures. There were literally probably those were all $5.
Wow.
Did you get anything?
No, but I might still go back because it was also, I wasn't there for that. It was a record store that just happened to have all this Star Trek stuff. And
oh, wow.
I went because it was the record store aspect was served to me as an Instagram ad. So I'm like, I was out in East County doing something for work. So I was like, oh, I'll just stop in that store. It's like, oh, they have more. Yeah, I did think that they had even the 1987, 88 Galoob toys. They had like Q still in the packaging. They had Tasha and Riker and Data, all like perfect condition. And they had the shuttle for like $100, but it was like still in the packaging, never opened. It was like, I never see that.
Go and have a rifle through those Playmates ones that you never know. You might find a Redemption Red Data or something really rare. And
well, they did have a blue duty uniform Troy in perfect condition for like $5. And they had Ro Lauren, which I don't think I have. So I still might go back and get a few of those, especially at that price.
Well, speaking of action figures, we've also had the reveal of the new Lego playset over the course of the week, and we were right. We called it. We said we wanted a bridge. We want the interiors. We want to play.
So a bridge, got a bridge and a transporter room.
Yes, that's so cute with the little how it flashes.
I will say I'm a little happier with the price point on this one. It's about half the price.
Yeah, it's a lot more affordable, and I think it'll be better to display as well. It'll fit into display units better than the big Enterprise D will.
You see mine behind me there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so far away. It looks quite small.
My boyfriend just loves it. Trust me.
Well, before we get into our topic, we have new Star Trek this week to discuss. So let's wheel out our old feature, Escape Pod.
This is the bridge. All hands to emergency escape pods.
It's a while since we've heard that.
Yes.
Have we all watched season 4, episode 1 of Strange New Worlds? I've watched it twice. I enjoyed it that much. Well, I watched it with myself, and then I watched it with James because he was there.
I am ready to watch it again. I probably will watch it at some point again today.
So, first impressions,
Amy?
Well, it was wonderful seeing them all back together again. Like, that was fun. The horses at the opening took me back to Hell on Wheels. I'm like, okay, a nod to Anson Mount in his previous, series. I loved that. I thought it was weird between Ortegas and Scotty. I was like, what's going on there? It seemed a little childish when you're on a mission to be, bad mouthing at a coworker. Like, I don't know. So I'm just going to put that on pause. And that was my least favorite. But loved the whole planet destroying asteroid belt, that there was this amazing civilization 65 million years ago. All of that. Loved it.
Brilliant. What about you, Christos?
I'm trying not to read what you have on your brief notes there, Kelvin, because once again, you and I think a lot alike, I know. So a return to form is definitely something I was thinking. Like, it felt fun and Strange New Worldsy and less soap opera-y for a change, and back to it. I kind of also liked that all this crap we've been teased at through the trailers kind of all happens in one episode. Like, we thought there was going to be a horse cowboy episode.
Yeah, Western episode.
It was 60 seconds, you know what I mean? And the dinosaur episode is in the same episode. So some of the things I maybe wasn't looking forward to, in a sense, really actually turned out to be fine for me. Yeah.
I can imagine you counting the themes from the trailers, going, well, that's one episode, that's 2 episodes, that's what we've only got 10 episodes.
Right.
So, and I think maybe that's what it is I don't feel like the rest of the season feels kind of wide open for me because of that, maybe. But I enjoyed. I kind of enjoyed and didn't enjoy the science of it all. Like, okay, life on Mars, that's really cool, very sci-fi. Kind of a little over the top too. But then, like, you know, the whole asteroid belt being the 5th planet, you know, science has already kind of dispelled that. So I feel like because we know even in 2026 through science that we don't feel like that's what happened, to be presenting kind of a conspiracy theory, because that is kind of a popular conspiracy theory that asteroid belt was another planet, kind of propagating a conspiracy theory and trying to make it like science fact in Star Trek is kind of really not what Star Trek does. Like, so that's me, like, maybe getting a little bit too into it.
Wow.
Thinking too
I
hard.
hadn't considered that. Wow.
So, but if you just kind of suspend disbelief, it was fun, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I bought it all, hook, line, and sinker. I loved it. Even, you know, the asteroid at the end and causing the extinction of the dinosaurs. I said last week I'm going into the series with low expectations because of season 3 being a little disappointing in my view. And I'm really glad I did, because I was on the edge of my seat throughout. I know what you mean about the Ortega-Scotty thing, then. It did seem a little bit forced, like, let's give them something to do. Unless there's going to be a little bit of a Tom Paris, B'Elanna Torres, engineer pilot romance being set up here. Who knows?
I've always kind of read Ortegas as queer. So I'm really hoping they don't go down that road of, you know, doing something differently. You know, so yeah. Also, I feel like if they keep it like the rivalry kind of like professional / you know, more about, you know, their roles on the ship, I'm kind of okay with it. If they turn it into like friction that's going to turn into a love story, Strange New Worlds is overdone. The love stories, I'm done with it.
Yes, please, no more. Stop
trying to intermingle every combination you can of our cast members. We don't need it. Let's just keep doing some, you know.
I love La'an. She's my favorite character, but I love how not everything is about her and Spock together. I mean, they had the opening scene, but for the rest of the mission, it was just pure character development about her. And I love that they're doing that they're celebrating this cast member, this character, without every aspect being Spock's girlfriend.
Around a relationship. Yeah.
You know what I loved? I loved our all-female away team that wasn't called out.
Yes.
They didn't do it just happened to be, it was presented on screen as perfectly normal. We didn't have to say, oh, it's a girls' night out or anything stupid like that, or ladies, you know, any kind of ribbing at it or anything. It was just presented as, well, these are the 3 people that make the most sense to be on this mission.
Yeah. Exactly. I had the same thought too. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's all female. And I'm like, how great that they didn't even mention it. This is the most qualified people for the away mission. So that's who we're taking.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Boom. Yeah, me too.
I mean, the vast majority of the main cast are female on Strange New World. There's only Spock and Mbenga, really, isn't it? I don't really count Scotty as a guest star in my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, but they use Scotty more than they do.
Pelia,
Pelia,
I get the sense they're phasing her out.
Yeah,
it's very noticeable.
Well, and I think that was probably the plan, because you're trying to get to TOS, right? So,
I would just like to make a very special mention to the guest actress who was playing Commander Cassell. Saffron Burrows is her name. I don't know who she is. I've never seen her in anything. She's got a huge list in IMDb, but I loved her.
She's kind of regal,
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the most beautiful British accent that makes mine sound like nails down a chalkboard.
So somebody told me
she was in Boston Legal. I guess that's the big thing that she was in, apart from Star Trek. She's done films as well, though.
I heard she was in that Deep Blue Sea, that shark movie, you know. But
no.
Anyways.
Don't know it. I've read that. This is a long list of things I don't know.
She's probably like, if you go look at her, you're like, yeah, we saw that. Oh, that was her. That was her. Yeah. She's one of those actresses.
Yeah, the chemistry between her and Anson Mount was delicious, you know, and he's all trying to be like, oh, you seem to have captured us by mistake. She's like, there is no mistake. I will be taking what I want. I have made this clear. Loved it.
Yeah. What's with all these Doctor Who references continuously? It's like 3 now. Is there going to be a Doctor Who crossover episode?
Was Carol Kane in Doctor Who?
Not as far as I know, and I'm a relatively serious Doctor Who fan. She's never come across my radar.
Yeah, her character's been around forever, so that's kind of what I think the implication is. She's seen and done things. So
yeah, but specifically Doctor Who, I mean, it is weird.
Either you have somebody on the writing staff who's a big fan, or you know. Now, yeah, I think I've heard that it's not happening, that they tried or something along those lines, but don't quote me on that. But
well, Doctor Who is, I would say, probably in a worse state behind the scenes than even Star Trek is at the moment. We don't have a Doctor. We have a scrapped Christmas special for Doctor Who that isn't happening anymore. So. The main exec producer has handed his notice in. So, yeah, we don't even know what the future is of Doctor Who.
So, as we kind of already talked about this episode, there was one little bit of SDCC news. They did, as I kind of predicted, we did hear a little bit more about the movie that is in production. And
I've not heard this. What did they say?
So some stuff did come out. The script is moving along quite nicely. It will involve new characters and maybe be a little bit more in the future from where we are. And I kind of took that as from where Picard was, not from where,
Discovery. Well,
not where Discovery or Academy is. So, but yeah, it was an update from the producers, the writers. So it is very much still a thing. So just a little bit of. But it was done separately, which was probably the appropriate thing to do because all the other panels were, through, Kiva Goldsmith people. And that's kind of that feels like that's all winding down. And, so.
Yes. The Alex Kurtzman era is coming to a close.
The curtain is closing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before it does, I think it's time we move on to today's theme and celebrate a little bit more. We are, well, actually, Christos, would you like to introduce the topic? Because I know this was one of your babies, the idea for this series.
Yeah, sure thing. So to your point, after seeing this episode the first time, that was where I said, hey, guys, we should do a Courtroom series. But we decided to not do this episode immediately because it needed a little bit of time to sit. It was all fresh. It just aired. And I think you guys were about to go do view screen anyway. So we said, we're just going to let this marinate and we'll come back to it. So we are coming back to our Courtroom series, part 4, because there are tons of Courtroom in Star Trek. It is Starfleet Academy, Season 1, Episode 10, Rubincon. So as the cadets and instructors undertake a dangerous, seemingly impossible mission to save everyone and everything they hold dear from the Venari Raw, Nus Braka chooses to place the Federation and its proxy, Captain Ake, on public trial. So I'll just say I rewatched this like in the last 2 hours. So, and it was my second time, the first time I've ever rewatched it from originally watching it. And I just want to say I loved it the second time. Like, I remember liking it the first time, but I loved it the second time. So strong marks for me.
I loved it the first time and was a lot more critical this time on my rewatch, but mainly because I was looking for plot points for us to talk about through the lens of Courtroom. And all I kept thinking is, who's actually on trial? What is this trial actually about? It was all over the place. I couldn't make sense of it. What were your first impressions, Amy?
Well, it's sort of the same thing. I knew we were talking about this, and I am in the middle of a rewatch, and I'm only to episode 6. And so now I had to jump to 10. So I'm, that threw off my rewatch, but it's okay. But yeah, I was looking at the courtroom and I'm like, what is the purpose? What is his intent? And Nahle, she always is like, so what do you want? Like talking to Caleb's mother, like, what is it that you want? And I felt the same thing. I didn't feel like there was a higher purpose that this courtroom that we have previously seen so well done in Star Trek, that we get this angry kid who lost his planet and is just screaming at the world. Like, let's get to a higher ground.
Right. Well, I mean, like fish on the table, as we say at work. This whole episode in Nus Braka in the trial, it was all an allegory for Trump and MAGA and, feeding on people's anger and finding the things that make people angry and division and making that anger be the thing that feeds their rage and being people hell-bent on revenge versus about overcoming what's happened to them and moving forward. So, he's trying to, take a situation and make her angry about it, of course, to make her, one. So that's like the behind the scenes side of what's happening in this episode. And of course, the Venari Raw is, an allegory for MAGA and he's Trump. And that's literally what we're watching in this episode. So
there are some less than subtle quotes from Captain Ake that are like, that's about Trump.
Yeah.
Not too late. Shall we start with the actual charges then about the trial? And all throughout the banners that were on like new style on screen, it all said that the Federation is on trial. But then the dialogue and the wording was more about Nahle Ake herself and the, taking Caleb away and putting Alicia in prison. And I just was very confused. So it started off by saying the Federation is on trial for crimes against democracy or crimes against the galaxy. And so what are they? What are they? What are the crimes against democracy? Was it that they spent the resources how they thought it would be, rather than asking all the planets who gets the help? I don't know. I couldn't make much of it.
Yeah, well, I think when you finally listen to Nus Braka and is like, okay, the Federation didn't help his planet because they had a resource, which she explained. And then Anisha was like, that was a supply ship going somewhere else. You weren't coming to save us. So that's their crime, is that they weren't being helped by the Federation, I think, is where they were coming that angle.
Well, and remember, Nus Braka also has this, misconception that the Federation attacked his world.
Right.
Which is, we finally get that scienced out at the very end. But he's got this. So maybe he does have this belief that this is what happened to him. And he was injured by the Federation and he lost his people and family and home. And not only did he not get help, but he was attacked. So that's his beef.
Yeah, when he was saying, well, your planet was raining down red hellfire type of thing, and then brings in Caleb and it's like, well, no, Federation has always been blue or green. So if it was red, it was that stranium or whatever that mineral was that was explosive. And so it was actually his father, and he was just a little kid, Nus Braka, so he just grew up with that wrong impression, saying, oh, the Federation fired at us.
Yeah, I think that makes a bit more sense, because I read it as he knew what actually happened and he was almost kind of protecting his father's legacy and reputation, that he created this.
Could be that he's trying to use that to justify, but
I truly believe conditioning.
Yeah, I truly believe it was his misunderstanding, because at the very end, the facts are something he does not want to face, because it destroys his whole worldview, as Ake was saying. You know, your whole worldview is based on this misconception you've had since you were 5 years old, and you're just this angry child. The same way that Caleb's mom, what's her name again?
Anisha.
Is it Anisha? I thought it was Alicia.
Anisha, yeah. She has this, you know, she's so focused on her son being taken away, but fails to look at her role in what led to that, you know, that she actually destroyed somebody else's life first. And it's not saying right or wrong, that there's a lot of misunderstandings on both sides, but, you know, you can't, you're hyper focused on one part of this, and you're not even looking at your whole role and what led to that. And yes, maybe desperation got you to that situation, but you basically killed somebody else, and what you were trying to do, whether you thought what you were doing was for a good reason, somebody died as a result, and you know, that person's family and life was destroyed and whatnot. So I think it's like kind of boils down to that, hey, sometimes things are complicated and things are muddy, and we tend to gravitate to the part of the story that best justifies, you know, our grievance, right? And we, instead of looking at the whole bigger picture and saying, you know, sometimes things just go wrong, sometimes things just happen the way they do, and it's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's like that gray area.
Yeah. And I see, Kelvin, like why you're saying who's on trial, because we have these stories so intertwined that Nus Braka is using specific example of Anisha and Ake as proxy for the entire Federation. And it's like, you can't base an entire, you know, organization on one solitary example. And so the whole thing just falls apart, I feel.
Yeah. That example, what we were just saying about Trump, it's interesting to look at it from a UK politics scenario as well. So this thing about resources and who decides who receives the resources and the aid. The argument from the far right is all about immigrants here. The cost of living is going up, and everyone's saying we're poor, and all of the money from the government is going on migrants living in hotels while they're being processed by the government, and there's a housing backlog and shortage, and why we housing asylum seekers when there's people from the UK who can't get social housing. And that's the hatred that is being built up here in the UK against asylum seekers and migrants in general. So I found that interesting. That was a resonance there. But I actually found if they just said we're putting Nahle Ake on trial about the whole taking away Caleb, I would have actually found the clarity of that storyline a lot more interesting, and a lot more to argue as well. Like we said, it's a shame to separate parents and child, but she's done wrong. You can't. Caleb would have been raised by a murderer.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes like the whole idea that the trial is also like, it's kind of a ruse, right? Because Braka's trying to take control of the galaxy, right? Or he's also got, he's got the Omega 47 stuff. He's making a power grab to form a government where it's all about him, right? So, more Trump, right? But so the trial is just kind of a guise as to why we're justified in doing what we're doing, right? He's trying to justify all these Federation worlds that are being blocked out and the potential to kill trillions of people, right? So like I said, maybe the fact that the trial doesn't necessarily make sense completely is part of the point, right? So it's like it's just all about him rising to power, and he can't rise to power with the Federation being there.
Which is why I was thinking you can't really go too hard on continuity or even adherence to legal process, because it's all a sham. There's no impartiality, and Anisha wouldn't be the judge and jury. It wouldn't be allowed at gunpoint. I get it, So we've gone through the charges. We've even explored the case for the prosecution through Nus Braka and everything he's alleged. What did you think of the points in defense that were put across by Nahle Ake and even Caleb himself when he came in at the end? To me, it all seemed quite one-sided, that they very, very successfully shut everything down that Nus Braka was alleging through science even.
Right. So between science and facts, right? Because once again, allegory for today. And of course, everything she's saying is that's propaganda. You're making that up, because, like I said, hits a little hard to what we hear in the real world right now, because that's science and facts are the enemy of, to them, right? Because they don't want to hear that, right? So it's disbelief. That's why there's, all this distrust in the media has been sown here for the last 10, 15 years, because you can't believe what they're telling you, right? Only believe me. I'm the only one that knows. You must believe me. So it's like I said, it's a little directly nail on the head.
Yeah. And when Caleb comes in and, starts defending, and it's like, oh, brainwashing, you just again, discounting, ignoring, just trying to erase facts, science, so it goes to exactly what you were saying.
The only thing missing was Nus Braka just shouting fake news.
Right. Pretty much. I feel like there's, there's like two sides to this whole episode, right? There's the trial, and it's kind of interesting and whatnot. And then there's like, I think for me, in my rewatch, the more interesting part of the episode was what was happening on the ship with the cadets in Reno. I felt like that was far more interesting to me, because I feel like, it's kind of like preaching to the choir watching Nus Braka be Donald Trump, right? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's fine. It didn't annoy me as much as it did the first time. Like, it makes its point, but I really enjoy what's going on the ship with the cadets and the way that Reno is turning this whole crisis into a big lesson.
Well, before we just get to that, let's finish off with the judge and jury almost with Anisha. She says this whole thing of I want to dance on your grave. I didn't get it. I understand that she's furiously angry and filled with hate at this woman who sent her to jail and stopped her from being with her son. I get that. But I don't, it just didn't fit into the courtroom theme for me. And how was she best placed to say that the Federation is guilty? It seemed a little sloppy in the storytelling for me there.
I agree, because especially now that she has seen how Caleb interacts with the Federation, with Starfleet Academy, with his new family. I mean, she says, this is your family, but you still have family with me. Like, she gets to that point, and it's like, you can't say the entire Federation is guilty. When she said that, I mean, I get it the first time, because you're like, yeah. But she has seen her son be successful, intelligent, reach heights and more than she could have provided, to be fair, with the resources. And so for her to say, no, you're guilty, I really didn't believe it, because she seems more intelligent than just to go along with what the rhetoric of Nus Braka.
Yes, and I guess maybe she is intelligent. So you make a good point there. At the same time, it's easier to hate. It's easier to get yourself worked up. It's easier to buy into a rhetoric that feels like you've been wronged. And that's why everything in my life that's messed up is your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. I think that's the whole point they're trying to make there is and Caleb doesn't come back until after she says that, right? So after she makes the guilty determination, then Caleb comes in and makes the case for everything he's learned. And even though it may be hard for her to hear and it was hard for him to accept, he kind of outlines the whole I'm better off because of the Federation and Starfleet and whatnot. So I mean, I think it's conveniently fitting a plot point when she says, I want to dance on your grave. It's a little extreme. I know it feels a little weird. I felt like, wow, that was kind of, but sometimes when people are on the progress of accepting truth, they regress, right? And when it go, well, no, it's easier to, because she's like making some progress there, and it's easier to go back and say, but no, if I blame you, then I don't have to take any culpability for myself, right? It's all your fault. I don't have to own the fact that I killed that person and whatnot, and I can be absolved of my own guilt if I can blame it on you.
I love that, and we talk in Star Trek a lot about this mirror being held up. So there's the dialogue that Caleb has been brainwashed by Starfleet, when actually it's Anisha that's been brainwashed by Nus Braka.
Bingo.
And it's happened without her realizing through the society and what she's been listening, which is what's happening to a lot of the Western world.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Why do you think Nus Braka allowed her to be judge and jury? Like, I found that a little interesting. Do you think it was just a play to the other worlds to make him seem generous and that he's not the authoritarian?
Yeah, here's just someone else who hates Nahle Ake, so she'll be an easy stooge in my performance that I'm putting on. They could have had some kind of voting system by other people on, like, does she go to, like, do we execute her, yes or no? Like the old Roman court. But it was just a personification. They needed a voice.
Yeah, I think when he found her on the Athena unexpectedly, he's like, oh, this is perfect. I can, it's very performative, right? Everything he was doing was super performative, right? So here's a chance to really ham it up. I can make it look like it's not just me now. I can feed. And I mean, if you think of it, she's like Anakin Skywalker and he's the Emperor and he's just getting her riled up and whatnot. I thought of Star Wars several times with this whole good and evil and leaning into your anger and having it fuel you. It's very Star Wars, right? That's so there's a lot of allegory there. But
I guess that makes Caleb Luke Skywalker and Captain Ake Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a direct
or Yoda.
I think she'd prefer to be Obi-Wan Kenobi rather than Yoda. Right, okay then, Christos, let's get ourselves back onto the Athena. And
I jumped ahead.
This is tying up the plot threads of the season and what were the rest of the characters doing in the episode. So there's a lot here. So Christos, you started off with Reno.
Yes.
What a surprise to have her so featured in the story.
MVP.
Much more than a guest star.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's not a guest star on this show. She is.
I can't figure out who's
she's part of the main cast of this show, and that's why we've seen her a lot more this year, more so than we ever did in Discovery. She probably had more screen time in one season of Starfleet Academy than she did in the 4 seasons of Discovery that she was on.
Yeah. Amy, how did you resonate with the teaching styles on display of the kind of the constant turning everything into a lesson, the feedback, the discovery of yourself and your own abilities? Did you like that, or is it like, let's just have an adventure, stop with the teaching, this is a crisis?
No, that is the purpose of the Athena, to teach when you're out there. And all of the references, all right, pop quiz, and you either get it right and we live, and you get it wrong, we die. That's, I loved all of it, and how she just pushed them, but with confidence. Like, okay, this is where we're at. So get it together. And the little, conflicts between them, I was just trying to help. Well, you're not helping. And, and that Raimi being pilot, he was a little annoying of, well, I'm going to go to quarter impulse instead of, 1/10 or whatever it was. And I'm just like, stop. Why are you doing that? And then anyways, but the whole teaching of it was exactly what Starfleet Academy was. And to have that reinforced on this last episode, We are still first-year cadets. I loved it.
Yeah.
I often think of my own, dare I say, management style when I watch Star Trek, and whenever something is really serious at work, I mean, a drama, something going wrong, lots of money at stake, relationships with our customers. If I had a little graduate with me who's just started, I wouldn't be in coach teacher mode. I would be like, right, this is serious. I need to step in. I need to be a bit more authoritative. Just with the greatest of respect, just do as you're told for this. So I really admired Jet Reno being able to still be the teacher, but in real life, I'd be like, oh God, we're in a life and death situation now. You'd just be telling them what to do.
Yeah, I do that sometimes where I like pull them aside and be like, okay, now this is this is why we're doing this. Okay, now go back, So I definitely recognize that because I do it with my students all the time.
Yeah. There was quite a bit of, as I say, tying up things that have been through the series. So there was, Genesis being put in command. Terima using her powers in a safe way to affect the mission. I just wondered if you had a particular favorite arc that kind of bore fruit in this episode, or what aspects of the cadets' behaviors did you like? Anyone specific?
I think I liked especially the talk that Caleb and Reno have down in engineering, like that. I felt like that was probably the more authentic piece of it. I don't feel like Jaden had a whole lot to do, so there's that.
Yeah, I felt like they just pushed him aside and said, "Oh, you're down in medical."
Yeah, and then the way that Sam kind of lashes out at Genesis felt very out of the blue. Like that felt okay. Where'd this come from? Very forced, and okay, it's like it was just written in there to make something happen there, and it's a good talk that they have. But so all that being said, I think Caleb has the biggest realization there, and it kind of sets him up more so for his conversation at the trial. Like Reno helps him figure out something about himself that pays off later, and we couldn't have got to his conversation later at the trial had that scene with Reno not happened.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's the payoff there.
I remember when Starfleet Academy first started, and we had the first episode about Caleb and, the separation from his mother. And I remember us saying at the time, I didn't want this to be another Michael Burnham situation where the show is all about Caleb. And it was, just lots of mother issues. And I was so refreshingly surprised and relieved that was, it is an ensemble cast. He's not the main character. But I also did say, I think the last episode, he will find his mother. And then she will say, let's go. And he'll be like, no, I found a new home. So we did get exactly as I predicted. But I really liked the way it was done. I actually thought they might find the mother and she dies at the end. But I like that she did go through this journey, and particularly the very last scenes where they're going away for the summer, but then he will go back to school. And I think it was done very well as an arc in the season. But probably that was the only one I didn't really... I would still argue we've still not had a Genesis episode. She's like the Ortegas. We're going to have to wait until season 2 to get a Genesis episode.
Probably, yeah. So what did you think about the stabilizing the Omega 47 and that Sam was doing that? Did you like that solution, and then Nus tries to blow everyone up and it doesn't work? I was like, okay, I'm going to ask you guys, what did you think of that?
You'll probably have more to say about this because of your beloved Voyager episode of the Omega Directive. So how, compared to what Seven was trying to do with the harmonic chamber versus what Sam was doing, and the effect of when you actually do stabilize Omega, what you've got, well, you just kind of, we've stabilized it, great, blow it up.
So most of this I like, right? I like the idea. Well, of course, it gave Sam something to do. Someone needed to do it. And her abilities kind of help get it done faster than, kind of explain why we can get it done at the rate they're getting it done. I think visually, the way the way it was being represented was really cool. I like that the doctor had a part in giving the solution well, maybe not had a part. He did know the solution. Mm-hmm. Don't even ask me how he knows that. Maybe it's from his time with Seven. But the only thing that really irritates me, and I think it's down to my regeneration, is that it's like that last second stabilizing just at the right. I mean, if he had pushed that clicker like 5 seconds earlier, it would have all blown up. So that part is my that whole everything just works out to the right millisecond for drama's sake. I feel like it would have been nice if it was just done and then we said, okay, well, we know it's done, but he doesn't, so it's fine. We know that's coming, right? So I guess that's all.
It's very akin to when someone gets beamed off an exploding ship at exactly the last moment before the ship explodes. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the transporter room and O'Brien just materializes them. Oh, I got them. It's a trope. It's a trope.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, shall we move on to some assimilations and regenerations? Starting off with assimilations. Amy, what do you have?
Yeah, I really felt that they did a good job in describing who and what the Federation is, especially in Caleb's speech and with, Tig or Reno, Reno talking to Caleb and when Anisha killed that man who was a father, and just describing that of who the Federation is. I really thought that they did an excellent job with that. And so overall, that was really good, especially contrast with Nus Braka.
Yeah. What about yourself, Christos?
I think I'm going to say everything, I said, that was happening on this ship. I really liked the way the cadets had to pull together and solve the problems through Reno's guidance and whatnot. I didn't expect to enjoy that as much as I did, especially in the second rewatch, but I just really like them kind of putting the ship back together and, being able to jump back in to help at the end.
I was going to say about Reno, but I think we've all between us celebrated her enough. So I'm actually going to give a shout out to some of the writing and the dialogue specifically in this episode. There was a lot of quotes that really resonated with me. There was we learn more when we get things wrong than when we get things right. I think that's a very good quote for anyone to take advisement of. But then the slap in the face about society with Captain Ake saying there's so much hatred in this world, so much fear, and it's all brought about by one scared little boy, and it's. I hate the fact that people will watch it and not realize what's being said.
Yes.
It's just woke.
It and sees it, and it actually does resonate, then great. And if it does change a few opinions for the better, then I think it's done its work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Regenerations. Is there anything we weren't too happy with? I'm going to start off because mine's a really easy one. I didn't like the line, "Oh, I need to pee." When I get when she sat in the captain's chair, I thought there was enough joke, there was enough good quality comedy that was very Data. Oh shit! From Generations, or it could have done without it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. I am not in love with the Tarina and Caleb story. The love story, it seems so forced, even from the beginning. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of them together. I don't think their chemistry works well together. I don't like them. I don't like how they look together. I mean, it's just that petty. Yes, I know I'm being petty.
No, you're not. It's fine. I have said this in a prior episode. I don't like Tarina's character at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem, and I think maybe that's the problem you have. She's unlike. I don't like her, and she's no Deanna.
Is she misrepresenting your beloved Betazoids?
She seems like a Timu version of Deanna.
Yeah,
like that's
yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
That just means she's got a long way to go to develop. Maybe let's remind ourselves of this conversation at the end of season 2 and see if Terima has developed at all, or whether that romance actually does go. Because I think there's a bit of more of a will they won't they with Caleb and Genesis. I think that's the more relationship I like being invested in a little.
I like them as like a Boimler and Mariner, that type of thing. That's what I feel.
Christos, what have you got as a regeneration?
Just a couple of little things. First off, from a production standpoint, all the little fires burning everywhere on the episode. Yeah. I mean, on the bridge and the atrium. It's like, like if you just look in the 3 pools in the atrium, there's just literally a flame in the middle of each one. I'm like, from a production standpoint, it's a little over the top. I missed what?
Did you want rocks?
I want rocks. Yes, I want my rocks back. Yes, thank you. Fires become the new rocks. I miss Laura Thok. She basically only shows up a little bit in this episode, and talk about probably the most underutilized character of the entire season. I would say maybe, I know actress availability, stuff like that comes into play, but just I love the character and I missed it. So, and then, kind of like the performative aspect of the trial is a little over the top. I think we all kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm kind of nitpicking at this point. It's, there's little things.
Well, start us off with some trivia then, please, Christos.
Sure. Like Discovery, Rubicon, the episode's name, is drawn from the phrase crossing the Rubicon, with the added wordplay reference to Rubin particles.
Yeah, that's cute. Because I saw the episode, I'm like, Rubincon? That's not the right word, but then the Rubin particles, that was cute. Yeah. Well, the Venari Rawl graffiti the captured Sato atrium with the phrase Veni, Vidi, Vici, Venari Rawl. The first 3 words are a quote meaning, I came, I saw, I conquered, attributed to Julius Caesar.
That's brilliant. And speaking of phrases, Reno says, science is the captain, practice the soldiers, which Terima Sadal correctly identifies as being attributed to Leonardo da Vinci.
The Doctor's mobile emitter is seen for the first time since Star Trek Prodigy's Ouroboros Part 2. Hope I said that right. It is established that the Doctor now wears it under his jacket rather than on his arm, which I always felt like making it visible was always a what's the word I'm looking for? It was
a risk.
A risk, yes. It's a liability. So kudos to that fix.
Yeah. Reno offers advice to the cadets about being stranded alone in space on a broken ship with no hope of rescue. Reno previously had experience with this on the USS Hiawatha, as seen in Star Trek Discovery's Brother, being stranded on the crash ship for 10 months and 11 days with those too injured to move before the USS Discovery rescued her.
The U.S. Discovery makes a cameo appearance at the very end of the episode, briefly visible outside the atrium window, and it also gets a good mention too earlier in the episode as to why they can't come in and fix things. So I thought that was a really good line when they explain why Discovery can't come in, because all of us nerds are going to go there.
Exactly.
Jump in Discovery.
Yeah, just jump. These yearbook entries state that Charles Vance used to be part of the Nova Squadron, an elite group of cadets seen in Star Trek Next Generation's The First Duty and Season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy. Other notable members include Wesley Crusher, Magel, and temporarily Dal. Who are these people? Dal Ray?
Star Trek Prodigy that you love, Amy. These are the main characters.
She's not used to seeing the
Dal. Magellan's the Vulcan in Series 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It's been a while.
I'll just gay-splain it to you. Never mind.
Please.
Okay, final verdicts. Before we get into previously covered in the series, was Nahle Ake and the Federation and all the Federation guilty? We know that Anisha said guilty, but, were the judge and jury on this episode. So was the trial, was she guilty or not guilty, Christos?
I don't think so. Not at all. Even with her own guilt that she felt in the situation, she wasn't guilty.
Amen.
She was guilty. But there were situations and circumstances that go to specifically her action of, holding Anisha accountable for what she did. So in that aspect, yes, she was guilty for doing that. I think the sentencing was way absurd, and she should not have been put in a colony and had her son removed. That she is definitely guilty of. And I don't like that part because I'm a bleeding heart. So I want the family to stay together. And there were circumstances she was trying to provide for her own. It didn't really go into that, just more along the facts, which we sort of have to do. So I'm saying, yeah, she was guilty for holding up the justice for the other side.
Interesting. Well, you might be a bleeding heart, but mine is a swinging lump of coal. So I will say she was absolutely not guilty for the separation of Caleb. The mother did the crime. She has to pay the time. And you go to jail, you can't take your kids with you because that's not fair to the children. Caleb had a somewhat strange upbringing. Maybe that's the guilt, that Caleb got away and he had those years of problems before he came to Starfleet Academy. But I don't think the Federation is guilty at all in the slightest about the resource aspect of things. And I actually don't think I think Nahle Ake made herself guilty about the quitting her job, becoming a teacher, making it her mission to find and raise Caleb and reunite them. I think she atoned for it all. So I think the ends justify the means in all of the episode. I think it all worked out for the best.
Agree.
Okay, Courtroom series. Previously covered, we've done TOS Menagerie, TNG, The Drumhead, and Strange New Worlds, Ad Astra per Espera. Who had the best courtroom theme? Christos.
Well, first off, I just watched Ad Astra per Espera like last week. I showed it to Peter. And it does get a clip in this new Star Trek 60th thing. Yeah, it's already being recognized as one of those pivotal episodes. And I think I've already named this as one of my favorite episodes ever of Star Trek. So how could I not pick Ad Astra per Espera? I mean, I literally have it tattooed on my arm. So.
Yes.
Imagine if he raised his arm up and he rubbed it out and it said the Drumhead.
But that would be my very, very, very close second, because that is also a very good episode.
I can practically hear Kristin shouting the Drumhead from Canada now. So, we'll recognize that would have been her vote had she been with us today. But what about yourself, Amy?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I had a friend email me or send me a clip, and it was the last scene with Worf talking to Picard from the Drumhead, where Worf recognizes, I believed her and I was helping her. And just to have that recognition, I need everyone to recognize that in my family. Yes. And so the Drumhead for me, that's where it is landing, especially this week. Oh, so good. What about you, Kelvin?
I was very tempted to go with the Menagerie just because it's based on the cage. It's the 60th anniversary. It's a good courtroom and it's a good vehicle for bringing the cage into the original series at the time when a lot of people hadn't seen the cage because it wasn't in syndication. So I celebrate it for what it achieved. But when I think of a courtroom, I think of like your legal dramas, and I want to see the questioning and the defense and the impassioned speeches. And you can't really go wrong with Ad Astra per Aspera, with Jenediah's character and that delivery about oppression and discrimination. It is just pure Star Trek, and everything that resonates with me. So I'm with you as usual, Christos.
Yeah. I mean, even the way that episode resolves itself, and you're like, how are they going to get out of this, right? It's a very believable end when it's like, okay, you seeked asylum, you turned yourself in, all that stuff. It just perfectly fits. And when you're watching Pike's girlfriend, Marie, what's her last name? When you're watching her read, what's that?
Who? Oh, Marie Patel. Sorry.
Patel. When you're watching her read it and you're watching her face light up, you kind of even realize she's on. You knew she was on their side, but she's like, you got her. You know, she's like, oh, you actually found a real reason to make this all work. I mean, even my boyfriend gets off. Like, you know, I enjoy that when it all comes together at the end, and it's believable, I guess. Like, you don't feel like, oh, they just pulled this out of their ass, you know.
Mm-hmm. What's happening on BQN, you ask? We're not just a network. We're a universe of exploration, entertainment, and deep dives into the topics you love. Here's your star map to the sonic adventures awaiting you. Let's chart the Star Trek cosmos with all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with the insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. From classic to current, they cover it all. Galaxy class, engage! Stephen and Stefan pilots this Alpha Quadrant mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Infinite diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiance lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front, discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into a rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the tea, Bev? Christos spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube as well as podcasts are Trek Masters. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show. And the View Screen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of a Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. But beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives, unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Zalogis. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe and transformational journeys. Host Lex Rosa explores what it means to embrace authenticity in the face of societal expectations. You can unlock deeper levels of engagement with our exclusive patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. You can also now watch All Good Things as an extended video edit and get a background look into the creation of a podcast. Also, check out our back catalog of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Stay connected to our ever-expanding galaxy of content by following BQN Podcasts on Instagram, Bluesky, YouTube, and Discord. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio.
Amy, what are we talking about on our next episode, please?
Well, we are going back to our holodeck malfunctions. This will be part 8. And please watch Voyager's worst case scenario.
We'll be settling up with Seska. But before that, we would love to hear what you thought of today's show, and there are many ways you can do this. You can join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. You can join our Discord server, or you can follow the network on Bluesky and Instagram at BQN Podcast to continue the discussion there. You can find all the links and the invite code in the show notes. So, Amy, where can people find you when you are not stabilizing molecules to thwart evil geniuses?
Kelvin, I cannot believe you said that, because that was what I was going to ask Christos, stabilizing the omega.
Well, I usually go for something a bit smuttier, but I didn't.
Wow, I know. That's why I'm like, oh, I'm safe.
Clean.
Well, when I'm not doing that or trying to come up with something to ask Christos now, you can find me on our Discord server. So please join us there. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
So, Christos, when you're not, stabilizing Omega 47 without me, where can people find you?
You can find me in Facebook group, the BQN Collective, our Discord server, and over on Instagram at What's the T-Bev. And Kelvin, where can people find you when you're not trying hard to figure out which knickers to match up with the various Star Trek uniforms that you're packing for STLV?
I would at this point stand up to actually say I'm only wearing the top. I am wearing my gym shorts with this. So yeah, when I'm not only modelling half the Starfleet uniform, you can find me in the BQN Collective Facebook group, or come and chat to me directly at Kelvin's Timeline on most of the socials.
Well, you'll never hear a commercial here on BQN. And if you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can watch the video version of this very podcast, or you can join our reaction shows, script readings, and enjoy our special patron-only back catalog of shows like It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to sign up and get all the details.
And if becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, or hitting the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a star rating and a written review. That helps others to find the show and builds our little community of awesome listeners.
At this time, we would like to thank all of our network patrons, and a special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and Kelvin for our artwork each and every week.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
all good things.